When President Trump gives his White House speech during primetime tonight, sources say he will address the issue that he has repeatedly called a hoax, the affordability crisis. New polls showing rising prices are causing some real hits to the president's approval numbers. The NPR Marist poll found recently just 36% of adults like the job that he's doing when it comes to the economy.
That is the lowest rating any president has received in the 6 years this poll has asked that question. And a just released CNN poll of polls finds President Trump's overall job approval hanging at 39%. Let's get some perspective from veteran pollster and communication strategist Frank Luntz. Frank, great to see you. As always, the president set to address the nation tonight. Does he change that perception?
He has to. Now, no one's making a decision about 2026, about what happens now over Christmas in 2025. But I watched Joe Biden in 21 and 22 in the holiday season completely dismiss inflation concerns. And we know that it damaged him for the rest of his administration. President Trump understands that and understands that he has to change the perception. But it's hard to do when food prices are as high as they are, healthcare prices are as high as they are, and they're having this fight right now in Congress over whether or not to continue the subsidies. Nobody cares about the details. They care about the overall cost. And if Americans believe that affordability is a crisis, then it is a crisis.
How do you see, you're like the messaging guru on this kind of stuff and what people want to hear. How do you see his messaging around it, what he is calling a hoax, what the White House is saying he's actually calling a hoax versus what he isn't? I mean, the truth is he is diminishing this cost issue that Americans are really feeling, but at the same time, they're kind of making semantic issues over his messaging at the White House.
In the end, it's do you have more money at the end of the day? And the truth is, it's not about wages, it's about costs. Even if your wages go up, if you can't afford that car, if you can't afford that health insurance, you say that inflation's a real problem. First, I'm impressed that they're finally calling it affordability because that's what it is. It's not inflation. Second is that he does recognize it, which is why he's doing this speech. And third is that he does have the ability to communicate, to change, and communicate a message that says, I hear you, I get it. And in specific response to your question, that's the key, the empathy, the understanding. Don't tell someone that it's happy days are here again and it's 1929. Nobody will believe it. In the end, you have to acknowledge what they're seeing, what they're feeling, and then lean into it.
How do you message the disagreement we're watching unfold on Capitol Hill when it comes to health care and these expiring Obamacare subsidies, these Republicans in swing districts defecting from the vision of the president and the Speaker of the House?
Because in the end, you talk about the bureaucracy and that it doesn't deliver. In the end, you talk about the disappointment that people have when their doctor and their hospital aren't covered. The key for the Republicans is to deliver the affordability that people need, the choice and control that people want, delivered by the doctors and hospitals that people trust. And there has been concern that the healthcare system doesn't work. If you start that way, then voters will allow you the right to make the changes to deliver the affordability that people need. But if you don't empathize, if you don't acknowledge that this is happening, you will fail. And the issue for Republicans is that they don't want to make this a political issue. They want to keep focused on the substance, not the style. And over the fight that's happened the last 24 hours, it's all politics.
You've seen this bombshell Vanity Fair piece featuring many interviews with White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. And one of the things she said that was sort of interesting was she wants to see the president kind of pivot towards talking about domestic economic issues, less about Saudi Arabia is probably called for. But at the same time, the president's got the U.S. very much embroiled in this targeting of the boats in the Caribbean, Venezuela. You know, is there going to be some kind of land incursion, U.S. military action in Venezuela? How does he need to address that?
So she gave a very candid approach, which is something that's needed in politics right now. Just tell the truth. And they're using it against him, trying to use her words to beat upon the administration. This is my advice to those who hold the administration accountable. This is my advice to Americans right now. See the entire picture. There's things that she said that a chief of staff doesn't say. Well, good for her. But do the whole picture. She also talked about the successes that he's had, that his ability to make things happen that people said was impossible. Do the entire picture. It is of an administration that has done far better than anyone expected, but there are some areas that she would like to change.
What do you make of the chief of staff, one who avoids the limelight for the most part, doing this interview with Vanity Fair?
We don't know whether she was, and I could see her doing this because she's a different chief of staff. She's direct. What she says, I trust. I believe her. And maybe they released it earlier than they said. Maybe there was a deal that we don't know about. But in the end, we have to look at the whole picture.
Or maybe they just got something they weren't expecting. That happens frequently, where I think, people think they're going to get some kind of glowing story, and maybe they're going to get the unvarnished truth, right?
Which is what we need right now. We're at the end of the year. I want us to reflect on what a year it's been, because I don't think it's been a great year. I think it's very problematic. I think we're so divided and so angry, and the stuff that we say online and offline is horrific. And just maybe this will help the conversation a little bit as we head into Christmas and New Year's, that we will just accept our differences and embrace them. I'd much rather be at a party where people disagree with me. I just don't want them to do it in a way that's vicious and inhumane. We're losing our civility. We're losing our decency. And she communicates in a very straightforward way, and I appreciate that as a communicator.
Frank Luntz, always great to get your perspective. If there's Mountain Dew and cheesy poofs, it's a good party. That's for sure.
I never expected to hear that on CNN, but thank you for shaking.
Divisive party, people that agree with you. As long as there's Mountain Dew and cheesy poofs, it's a good party.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Frank.
Thank you.